Welcome to the digital space where ideas interlace, the crypto equalizers in the metaverse race. Thanks to Third Academy for hosting our virtual place. The Crypto Region Queen and Money Talks educate. We're diving deep where the cryptic coin stands, breaking down barriers, giving knowledge a chance. Hello to our viewers from YouTube to the social stands. Strap in for a ride as we give crypto a glance. Remember, this ain't financial advice. And today we're going to talk about the difference between buying crypto and mining crypto. So I'm excited about this topic. A couple of weeks ago, I started mining crypto, and it's not the same knowing something than doing it. So um, most people that enter the space are buy cryptos in an exchange or in a decentralized wallet, right? And that has some advantages, but both mining and buying cryptocurrencies can be viable options for making money or protecting your assets. But each approach has its own set of advantages and disadvantages. So let's talk first about what are the advantages of mining crypto. So potential for high returns. If you have access to cheap electricity and powerful hardware, you can potentially earn a significant amount of cryptocurrency by mining. You got a direct ownership of the cryptocurrency. When you mine crypto, you earn the tokens directly without the need to go through an exchange. You also support the crypto's ecosystem, since mining is essential for the security and operation of many blockchains, specifically blockchains that are they have the consensus mechanism that we call proof of work. For example, Ethereum used to be proof of work, but they decided to go through proof of stake. So now you cannot mine Ethereum, the new Ethereum. So that's an example of how different consensus mechanisms, support or build a blockchain. So by mining, you are contributing to the growth and stability of the crypto ecosystem. Okay. What are the disadvantages of mining? High upfront cost, because mining requires specialized hardware, which can be expensive to purchase and maintain, especially the ones that are the area zone 3 miners, which are the ASIC miners. It's significant electricity consumption. Mining is a very energy intensive process, so electricity cost can be a major factor in profitability. Also, there's an increase in competition. As more people mine, the difficulty of mining increases, making it less profitable over time. So how does that compare to buying crypto, the advantages of buying crypto in an exchange? One is lower upfront cost. You can buy crypto with as little as you can afford, and there is no need to invest in expensive hardware. There's liquidity, which means that there's money, money that is able to move. Crypto exchanges provide a platform to easily buy and sell crypto, making it more liquid than mine tokens. Of course, the mine tokens, it can be liquid if you sell them, but most of the miners are not mining to sell the tokens right away. It's more for a long-term strategy. And diversification. You can diversify your portfolio by investing in multiple cryptocurrencies. Although there's miners like the Litecoin and Doge miner where you can mine two things, or you can mine more than one type of currency. Like, for example, the coin miner, you can actually mine Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and some of the Bitcoin, what do you call them? Connected coins, okay? So, what are the disadvantages of relying on an exchange? One is that most people keep their crypto on an exchange or instead of a wallet, which can be vulnerable to hacks or security breaches. Transaction fees. Exchange often charge fees for buying and selling crypto, especially the centralized exchanges, which can reduce your returns. Price volatility. Crypto prices are volatile, so you could lose money if you buy at the wrong time. Well, it's if you sell at the wrong time, basically. And protecting your crypto assets. Regardless of whether you mine or buy crypto, it's important to take steps to protect your assets. So, Money Talks, what do you think about the things that I've discussed just now?
Yeah, I think it is very important for people to know some of the points that you just made, especially about the more miners there are, the harder it is to mine Bitcoin or whatever asset it is. A lot of people that mined don't necessarily have all the education and all the background. And it's one of the things that they don't understand is why the payouts reduce. And this is the biggest reason why. Because as the more miners you get into a network, the harder it is to mine, the difficulty increases, therefore the payouts start reducing. And when that happens, of course, a lot of people don't understand why it's happening. So they look at their payouts and they're like, what's going on? Like, what changed? And that's what's changing. There's more miners coming into the space. Right now, there's only about 1 million miners worldwide mining. And with that, you have like it's 0.0125% of the population. And as more people learn about these assets, you will have more people joining these mining networks. Therefore, the difficulty will increase and the payouts will be reduced.
Yes, I like that you mentioned that. And then we got the issue of different types of miners. So if you have one of those TPUs or the ones that are less powerful miners, there is so much competition that it's like it's going to get to a point that, of course, not everybody is mining Bitcoin. Is the other thing, right? There's a lot of different things that you can mine. So if there was only all the 1 million people were mining Bitcoin, right? Then we can be like, oh, okay, there's a lot of competition, but there's different people that mine different coins. So it's not, again, it's a proof of work coins that you can mine. And then we got the halving that is coming, right? And we got different cryptocurrencies like Litecoin and Bitcoin that have a halving. This year, Litecoin had a halving, and next year, Bitcoin has a halving. So on top of that, we got the difficulty of what? Then now you can only mine half of that reward, making it more difficult. Can you comment on that?
Of course, people don't realize that, every X amount of blocks, the rewards are reduced. Um, and for Bitcoin is every 210 million blocks, this reward is cut in half. And it happens again every 4 years. A lot of people don't fully understand that. And when that happens, again, like you said, it's called a happening, and it's going to continue to happen every 4 years until all the Bitcoins are created, which is estimated to happen in 2140 or 2141. So once that happens, um, the rewards are decreased pretty much, and it's every again 210,000 blocks. And as that continues to happen, it's going to be less and less rewards and less payouts that you're getting paid for mining these rewards. Once that happens, the miners will still, have an important part within the network, which is the transaction fees and making sure that the network is secure, and that's going to be a way for them to still have profits. But when you are a smaller player and you're doing it on a smaller scale, it is very different than bigger miners like Riot or Marathon, right? Because of the resources they have. and also just trying to accommodate how many you can have depending on where you're mining them based on the location, because there's so many things to consider, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the things that you're going to cover about ventilation, making sure that the miners are not overheating, if a miner's under hashing and things like that. Those are things that you also have to think about and prepare for.
Yes. Wow. Again, there's so many things to consider with when talking about this. And let's talk a little bit, since you mentioned the whole thing with having um, w- discuss what is going to happen once all the bitcoins are mined, because that's going to be a weird time. Just saying, because we've been so accustomed to the hear about halvings and the mining and stuff, but what is going to happen once all the bitcoins have been mined, right? And you mentioned a little bit about it, but the mining rewards, the primary incentive for miners, the block reward will disappear. This rewards, which halves approximately every 4 years in an event known as the halving, currently provides the bulk of miners' revenue. When all the 21 million bitcoins are mined, there will be no more block rewards. So transaction fees, to compensate for the loss of block rewards, miners will rely entirely on transaction fees. These fees are paid by users to process transactions and already a part of how Bitcoin operates. Over time, it is expected that these fees will gradually increase to ensure that mining remains profitable, providing the necessary incentive for miners to continue validating transactions. I don't know, like, I just wonder, do you think a lot of people will stop mining Bitcoin once all these Bitcoins are mined?
Again, it really depends. There's people that are, it really depends on the person's reason for being in the space, right? A lot of people, they love being part of the network. It's not so much about the rewards for them, because for them, they understand what they're building and being part of this infrastructure and this network. And then you have the people that, of course, are just solely doing it as an investment and having high returns. So again, in the end, it's gonna really depend on them. The cost, if they're able to maintain the cost, if the fees, on the other hand, too, when you really think about it, if by then this is going to be more mainstream and it's going to be used more, maybe the fees will balance off the block rewards, because you're going to have more people using it and more people moving it around. So it might be about the same when it comes to profitability for them, but that's something that we would just have to wait and see.
Well, that's very interesting. Really, really interesting. So I want to give you an analogy so that you can understand more what is the difference between mining crypto and buying crypto for an exchange. Okay. So I want you guys to imagine you're setting up a bakery to sell bread. Okay. So mining crypto is like building the bakery from scratch. You'll need to invest in ovens, mixers, dough making machines, and other equipment. You'll also need to hire bakers, pay for electricity, and source ingredients. Once your bakery is up and running, you can start baking bread and selling it to customers. Now, buying crypto is like buying bread from a bakery. You don't need to invest in any equipment or hire any employees. You simply need to go to a bakery, exchange your money for bread, and take it home. In the context of crypto, mining crypto is the process of using powerful computers to solve complex mathematical problems. These problems are used to verify transactions and secure the blockchain. In return for solving these problems, miners are rewarded with newly minted cryptocurrencies. So buying crypto is simply purchasing cryptocurrencies from exchanges or other individuals. This can be done with fiat currency, USD, or other cryptocurrencies. Um, so what do you guys think about the analogy, or does anybody have a question?
I love that analogy. It's so like it breaks it down so simple. Like there's no way you cannot understand that at all.
I think the analogy is great, but I do have a question. So, I think about this, right? Like, say I want to build the bakery, I want to be a miner. Is it something like I myself have to like cut the wood for the building and do the mortar and build the ovens? Or are there people I can hire, like contractors or consultants, that can guide me in setting up my mining operation?
Of course, so that depends on what you want to do, right? If you want to outsource it or not. Like I just started 3 weeks ago, and I never mined before. Okay. Um, did I need help to do this stuff? Not really. I mean, maybe because I've been in the space for so long. So it depends on the type of knowledge the person has, how long it's been in the space, stuff like that. But of course, we both are connected with miners. I sell miners, and I help people that want the miners, uh, that buy the miners to set them up. So it depends on how big the operation. But what about you, Money Talks?
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on what approach you want to take. Um, like I personally come from a technical background, so if you have like this is what I tell people, if you're able to like set up when you buy any device in your home and you're able to set it up without needing the help of anyone, you can set up a miner. As long as you know you're able to read and follow the instructions to a T, etc. But if you're that type of person that whenever you buy a TV or a phone or whatever device you're buying, technical device you're buying, and you have to call someone, it's pretty much going to be the same process for you. So you really have to know what's your level of tech savviness, and then from there determine how you want to approach it. But there's definitely people that will teach you how to mine. A lot of the people in the mining community, they are so thrilled when someone wants to join the community, and they're always willing to share information to give you the best guidance on which are the best miners, um, what's your budget, and things like that to help you better decide what you want to do.
And where would people go to learn about the other people in the mining community, like other known guilds or places where people would go? And can you also talk to us a little bit about mining pools and what that experience is?
Oh, yes, yes, definitely. So there's a lot of different places where you can actually contact other miners. The best place is mining pools. Like for example, I'm using a mining pool called F2 Pool. They don't only have information to start mining, but they also have, calculators for energy, what kind of profit you can make with these machines, depending on the cryptocurrency that you're going to be mining. But going back to the analogy of the bread, when you're mining cryptocurrencies, you don't have to build a whole bakery out of, on your with your hands. So all you need basically to mine cryptocurrencies is equipment, electricity, a router, because you need to connect these machines directly to a router to the internet. You cannot, there's no Bluetooth or anything like that. So you need an Ethernet port. And then either a mining pool or solar pool. The mining pools share basically the work of discovering blocks, and then they share the profit. So for example, I'm mining Litecoin and Doge, and I am in a mining pool for that. But I actually started mining Bitcoin, and I started noticing that I wasn't making any money, even though I only been mining Bitcoin for a couple of days. So I decided to go on a solo pool, because this last year, like 15 times, solo miners had gotten the reward. That's 6 point something Bitcoin. Think about that. So I was like, I'm not making anything right now with a Bitcoin machine. I'm just go solo mining. Basically, if you solo mine, you don't get any reward unless you discover a block, and then you have to pay like a percentage, for this mining pool, well, it's not a mining pool, the solo mining, you have to pay 2% of your reward when you get a block. Did I answer all your questions, Stacy?
You did. I think I have a few more though. when
No, go ahead.
when you're mining, right? Like there are these, there's the initial setup, and then is there anything that you need after that? Like I think a lot about security because I've heard stories, and I don't know necessarily the details of malicious people hijacking devices and misusing them, like literally spreading unwanted code running in the background of a mining machine without the owner even aware of it. So what kind of
Mm-hmm.
mechanisms do you have to put in place as far as security? Um is there systems in place that map that? Are the mining pools helpful in establishing and setting that up?
So both of the questions, yes, yes. So when you're setting the miners, you can actually use password. I noticed that some of the miners don't use passwords for when they're setting. So you basically, when you get a machine, the first thing that you need to do is get into the IP address of that machine so you can set it up and connect and put the URL where you're gonna be sending the where you're going to be mining, right? You need to put URLs, you need to put a worker, which is the name that you have in that platform, and then passwords. What I noticed is that a lot of different miners said, "Oh, don't use a password." I think that's a problem. So I decided to use passwords, unlike some of the other people that don't use passwords. And then you can actually send your stuff directly to it to whatever you want. So you decide the wallet that you want to send, right? So I'm sending all my stuff to my cold wallet, basically a vault, right? The mining pools also help with security. Some of the mining pools have software or basically not how you call it, like a zip file that you use to help with security. And so it's not something that happens all the time, but again, and then the maintenance thing, like I had to also change a control board. So sometimes after you use the machine for a certain amount of time, things will need to be replaced. So there's a advantage of buying a miner that is new. Um, Monitor, do you have anything else that you can add to this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like you said, once a lot of people don't realize that this is not just a machine that you hook up and mine and just walk away and be worried. Um, you can think about a miner just like any appliance, and because of the amount of heat it outputs, sometimes they have issues with the actual hardware, and that hardware has to be replaced. Depending on the miner, some miners are known to have more issues than others. Um, so I think that a lot of people, when they get into the space, they don't really realize all that it entails, especially when it comes to that upkeeping with the machine, making sure you pay attention to the hash rate and making sure that there's no issues with the machines because once you start under hashing and it goes on for months and you're not paying attention, now you're losing out on, potentially rewards. It affects, the rewards and it's going to affect how you're hashing. And it's also as far as the hardware, sometimes, some of these machines have issues and there's an issue finding the part because, the parts are sometimes hard to find. Just how we have with COVID, we had a um, supply chain issues where we couldn't find a lot of things. Sometimes this does happen with some of the machines. So there's a lot to really consider when you're going into this. And I feel that more people need to spend more time on the actual education part of it before they get into it. Because what we have seen in the community is that a lot of people get in it and they have no idea like what goes on with the machine, how to set it up, um, when machines have issues, what to do or who to go to, um, finding people that are able to repair it if they're unable to do so. So there's a lot to consider. It's not just like getting a phone and you just charge it every day and you're good to go. It's very, very different.
On that note, like if I could ask another question, as far as a lot to consider, like I think there's probably also some stuff with legal and accounting to consider. And I know you guys aren't tax or legal experts, but when I think about this and what via the stories I've heard in this space is that you have people that set up mining operations and fail to set up a business entity to report the earnings. And also, they're not taking advantage of the tax benefits from writing off the expenses of the hardware and the electricity, which can also, be very beneficial if you are successful and if you are earning significant money from the operation. And I was wondering if you guys had any insights or recommendations regarding that.
Yes, because it's funny because I've been talking about that. Um, because like again, we're talking about miners and miners using electricity, but there's people that buy miners at this time, not to mine, but to flip them, right? To sell them later, because when the market goes up, these miners fluctuate with the price of the market. So when the market is low, the prices of the machines are lower. When the market is high, the price of the machines are higher. So having a corporation is actually very, very important, because I asked my accountant and said, hey, I bought some mining machines, blah blah blah. I said, you have a corporation, so it's a business, right? And then you mentioned it. I'm actually using electricity for this, so that's going to go as part of my expenditures for my business for these machines. The machines that I bought, the equipment I have, that's one. The electricity that is using, anything that I use to upkeep these machines, all that counts as part of. And then if you, you know, have anything that, solar panels, or some people have solar panels and they're using them for mining. All this stuff is connected to to business. What are your thoughts, Money Talks?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point, Stacey, because again, I feel that when people join in these spaces in this community, for the most part, their intent is not to, have a company right off the bat. But some of them, they enjoy the space, they enjoy the community, and they continue to add on minors, right? And then next thing you know, they have operation bigger than they thought they would have. And these are things that people really need to consider. Um, if before you even go ahead and start buying more equipment and move continuing to grow your mining operation, it's definitely good to have a plan um, before you even start doing that, because it will affect your taxes. A lot of people also don't keep a record of like their rewards um, and their expenses. And then, as this space continue to grow and it becomes more profitable for these miners, they will have to eventually deal with the IRS and paying taxes and all of these things. So I think it's a good idea for anyone that is looking to get in the space. Um, to come up with plans. I always say I'd rather be safe than sorry. So have a plan for like if you want to do this individually and if you really like it and you're enjoying it and you're considering getting more minors, come up with a plan as to how to become an entity so you can take advantage of these tax breaks, because the reality is um, as an entity you will have more tax codes that will help you benefit to keep that profitability as opposed to doing it as an individual.
I have a question. Given that there are these mining entities that have thousands of computers, how can you, one or two computers, compete?
Well, that's a good question. Like, let me tell you, the other day, like a couple of days ago, somebody won the block reward for Bitcoin, and their hash power was very, very small, which was shocking to me because I was like, oh my God, I keep hearing about this solo mining pool called Solo CK Pool. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense that that solo miner discovered that block, right? I don't know what to say, Money Talks. Can you take that? Because really, it didn't make any sense to me.
I couldn't really hear his question. It sounded really loud. Can you repeat that for me?
I think sorry.
The question was, how can individual miners with one or two machines compete with entities that have hundreds of machines that are mining?
Okay. So again, it's not that, like, you guys gotta understand, it's more like of a network, right? And everybody's competing. So it's not so much about how big the operation is. It's about I feel like the hash rate has a lot to do with it, and being able to compute those blocks really quickly, and having the ability to do so. So I feel that again, it's more like a probability game, right? And so clearly, the more miners you have, the higher the probability, but it doesn't take away from those little miners that only have one or two.
Yeah, because if not, nobody, no solo machine will do it, right? And they won the reward this year like 15 times, just solo miners.
Isn't that also going back to what we talked about a little earlier, where the mining pools, like, wasn't that the reason why some of these mining pools were founded, so that small miners could group together and have greater power?
Exactly. That's actually one of the reasons why people join mining pools, to share the rewards, to share the power, and then you get paid according to the power that you provide to the mining pool. So yeah, that's correct, you know. But again, it's competition, but it's not like nobody can win. But when you're dealing with solo mining, it's more like a lottery, really. Of course, I think that you personally, you have a higher chance of winning the lottery, the block, than winning the real lottery, right? But you get what I'm saying? Because people buy lottery tickets, and the chance of them, they have a higher chance of being struck by lightning than winning a lottery, right? But with the miners, you have a higher chance, even as a solo miner. That's why more people are doing solo mining. But it depends how much, if you want to get paid something or not. Because with the solo mining that I'm doing now, I'm not going to get paid anything unless I discover a block. Zero, right? With the mining pools, you get a little bit of something for sharing your computer power, your hash rate.
Hey
I
guys,
hope that answers the question.
I, my understanding of our audience is that we've got a lot of people that are new to the space. So I was wondering if I could ask you to take it back a few steps. And can you get really granular with us and really simple about what it means to mine a block and what mining really is? Like from an under the covers kind of perspective.
Can you take this, Money Talks?
So essentially, with mining, the whole purpose is one, to help secure the Bitcoin network. Two, people do it as an investment as well to get paid in rewards. So essentially, people that are mining, with them having their machines on the network, they're helping secure the network and create more Bitcoin. So unlike other coins that were pre-mined, Bitcoin has not been completely mined. So in order for Bitcoin to exist and more Bitcoin to continue to be created, um, people have to mine. And this is why a lot of bigger companies like Riot and Marathon are investing so much into mining so that more Bitcoin are created. And again, when they're created, which is when these blocks are completed and they're rewarded, then more Bitcoins are created, and then eventually, with the community speculating that eventually everybody's going to want to buy more Bitcoin and the supply is going to be low and the demand, of course, is going to be high, then they're going to be more profitable. So essentially, mining is just a whole bunch of computers connected to a network trying to compete for that next uh, block that will reward them the ultimate reward, which right now is 6.5 Bitcoin. And with that, once they mine it, they can either hold it because they create it, or they can go ahead and put it in the market for other people to buy. And this is why when you see these exchanges offering these Bitcoins, they're coming from a miner. So a lot of people in the community just take pride for being part of the network and helping build this network and this infrastructure that Bitcoin is providing when it comes for, having the ability to facilitate global payments.
Yes, and in the context of security, and specifically Bitcoin, the security in the network is also part of this, and Money Talks mentioned it. It's crucial for maintaining the security and integrity of the Bitcoin network. Miners validate and record transactions on the blockchain, Bitcoin's underlying technology. So again, this is what makes Bitcoin decentralized and secure, because all this computer, so if we can have like a virus, like an example, I'm just giving you an example, in a computer or in a GP, in an ASIC miner, but because there's so many other, it's like a hive. We're in the hive, right? Think about mining Bitcoin is like a hive. If you lose a couple of bees, does the hive get hurt? Not really. So the security is ultra important with mining. And I don't know if anybody is here sure about the 51% attack against Bitcoin. So it will require 51% of all the computers that are mining Bitcoin to do a change. But because most people mine, they don't have, there's no somebody that has 51%, right, of the pool. We should, again, it will be almost impossible to do some kind of attack against Bitcoin. So any other questions?
So just to kind of summarize, is a Bitcoin officially the result of a cryptographic number that's assigned to a transaction that was verified by a specific miner, and that's how the Bitcoin is mined per se?
Can you rephrase that question?
Sure. Just trying to get kind of granular about what it actually means to mine Bitcoin, right? So we're looking at a variety of miners competing to validate information on chain, right? And
Mhm.
once you validate it, you're basically providing a cryptographic solution that matches a specific criteria. And as a result of that, you get rewarded. So when we think about that, is that the actual process of mining Bitcoin per se?
Yeah, correct. So it's like there's actually a hardware class that goes into details about all of this. And essentially, you're trying to calculate a specific equation. And once you calculate it, but it's like a really, really big equation, and every answer essentially has to be slightly different than the last one. Um, and once you do that, then you go ahead and get that reward. That's exactly it.
If you want to get more granular, I can actually. So each cryptocurrency that you're mining has a specific algorithm that you have to solve. For example, Bitcoin uses the SHA-256 cryptographic hash functions designed by the National Security Agency of the United States. I don't know if you knew that. Then it's a unique 256-bit, 32-byte signature for a text string. Hash functions, cryptographic hash function is a mathematical algorithm that converts an input or message into a fixed size string of bytes. The output, known as the hash value, should ideally be unique for every unique input. And then we got the properties of the SHA-256, which is a deterministic. Same input always gets the same output, quick to compute, infeasible to reverse. So that means it's one-way function. It has a small change in the input, which significantly changes the output avalanche effect. So again, each cryptocurrency has specific algorithm, and specifically for crypto is for Bitcoin is SHA-256. But I mean, do we want to really get into the weeds of that? I mean, seriously, Stacy is like fascinated, right?
Well, I think that, part of what's valuable about this moment and is really inspiring is seeing two women in the space mining Bitcoin, right? And then the other part of that is kind of demystifying it, because it's a word that's thrown around, mining and Bitcoin, that really very few people are willing to talk about what is behind it. So thank you for taking a moment and shedding some light in those areas, because that's really valuable for the rest of us.
Definitely, definitely. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question. I'm fairly new. I actually am getting ready to set up a Coinbase account and buy some crypto and just get involved with some, digital currency, etc. So I'm going to get some Bitcoin. But when we were talking about the halving, um, uh, when me buying this now and then the halving, and I'm doing it now, is it best to get as much as I can, or it's at this time based on that?
So basically, you're saying would it be better to buy Bitcoin before the halving or after the halving? Is that the main question?
Yes.
Right now, because once the halving happens, it means that usually Bitcoin goes up, and you want to, anytime that anybody buys anything, to make money, you want to buy low and you want to sell high, right? And it depends on how much money you have to buy Bitcoin or whatever, right? I tell new people that, I mean, if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, um, to do it now, because again, once the market goes up, people are going to flood the market. Bitcoin last time that hit an all-time high was 68,000, 68, almost $69,000. Think about that. Right now, Bitcoin is $38,761. So the question is, do you want to pay less, buy more Bitcoin with less money, or you want to buy less Bitcoin with more money? And that's the difference between buying right now and buying after the halving.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking.
No problem, no problem.
Absolutely. And not only that, but you guys got to understand there's so much happening in the space right now. Like right before I joined this, there was an alert saying that potentially the first spot Bitcoin ETF could be approved the first week of January, within before the 15th of January. So there's a lot happening in the space, and you have to understand that when a Bitcoin halving happens, it triggers more people to be active in the market, and of course that affects the supply and the demand, and it's all economics from there. The higher the demand and the less supply there is, the more the price will push up. And not only that, but I always tell people number of Bitcoin that's going to be created is 21 million. However, about 18.5 are lost. So that leaves 2.5 to be created. And right now, there's about 2 million that is, I think the number is reduced now. It's about 1.7 million that is yet to be created. So that only gives you roughly about 800,000 to 1 million Bitcoin right now in actual circulation. So when you think about that number and there being 8 billion people in the world, what's going to happen when everybody wants a Bitcoin and you know they can't get it? The surprise is definitely going to go up. So always think about the numbers and looking at the data, how many are to be created, and doing the math, because I feel that a lot of people are focused on the 21 million, but they're not focused on how many are lost, how many people can I recover, and the actual number of what's actually circulating in the market.
Yes, and I like when money talks. Always remind us of that. That's a lot what a lot of people call Bitcoin gold. Bitcoin is more scarce than gold. Think about it. I mean, how much is an ounce of gold right now? An ounce of gold price is right now what? $2,051, right? So to buy a Bitcoin right now is 38,670 bucks. See what I mean? So you still can mine gold, but after we mine the rest of the Bitcoin, we're done. You can't get any more. So that scarcity and the supply and demand that Bitcoin is gonna have, everybody's gonna be like killing for trying to get a little piece of it. And let me remind people, because you want to buy Bitcoin doesn't mean you have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy just little pieces of it that we call Satoshis, right? So you can buy a little piece, just like you can buy a small part of a stock. You don't have to buy the whole stock if you don't have the money to buy it. The same thing about Bitcoin. So I wanted to remind people of that, because there's people that have less money and they think that they cannot really buy any Bitcoin, and that's a shame, right? Not knowing the information can hurt hurt you in the process, which is why we're here discussing this amazing subject of mining and buying crypto in an exchange, right?
Absolutely. And I want to even add another layer to that. Aside from mining and buying it, there's actually a third option, which is to earn it as a reward, without having to buy it or having to mine it. And a lot of people don't know about this, but there are crypto debit cards that if you use them as a prepaid card, let's say you're able to pay all of your bills with a debit card, you can get a crypto debit card. Like Coinbase has them. I know what's the other one? There's another popular one. Can't remember. I know BlackFire had one, but of course they're down right now. But
Crypto
there's one. Do you remember the name? Can't pick it up right now.
and fold card.
Yeah, the fold card. There we go. I just remember the F. I couldn't remember the rest. So the fold card, the Coinbase card, just by simply using it as a prepaid card, where you just load whatever funds you need to pay your bills, you can choose a crypto reward, and one of them being Bitcoin. So there's definitely other ways for you to get into the space without necessarily mining Bitcoin or buying Bitcoin, if you still unsure, or you feel that your security, you don't really have the technical ability to swap from exchange and things like that. There's also the stock market where you can invest in the actual miners that are actually creating Bitcoin, and their prices also move with Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin is low, they're trading a little bit lower. When Bitcoin is high, they're trading a little bit higher. So there's a lot of ways that you can get involved with the community without directly mining Bitcoin or directly buying it if you're still interested in the space.
I also am new, and originally I was looking at NFTs and etc. And now I'm seeing a lot of information on tokenization of illiquid assets, and like when you're talking about gold and minings, and how some individuals are leveraging that to get loans, etc. So there's seems to be a lot going on these days with the
Yeah,
tokenization of like assets, and they're doing with NFTs, and um, even like with recently I saw something with like Snoop Dogg, the amount of money he raised, etc. in 48 hours, and um, hit a lot of different things, and how the metaverse, when it comes to the metaverse and these tokens, or that may be in the form of NFTs, some of the tokens. So uh, there's a lot going on right now.
definitely. And you can see a lot of, and we're in the metaverse, right? And
Right.
all here is NFTs. So it's where we're going. Everything is going to be tokenized. We've been talking about this for years, right? Money talks in TikTok and social media about where we're going, the digitization of the dollar, the digitization of other assets, and sadly, a lot of people are getting left behind because still there's only out of the 5% of people in the world that are in crypto. That doesn't count the miners. The more technical you get into crypto, the less people there are, the less percentage there is.
Yeah. This is my first time in the metaverse. Probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I'm a DJ. I was looking at uh, Second Life. I don't know if that's even around now. They're gone. Um, but I was looking at the space as like opening up like a nightclub in that space, and the ticketing and everything like that. But as I sit here and I look at this, I know that there's the land being sold. Uh, I think the Queen was saying like deciding what she was going to wear, so clothing, design. There's all kinds of things that are going to be sold through the metaverse. When it comes to having your space, house, etc., and what you wear it and everything.
Yes, we're really definitely in exciting times, and again, it's just a matter of keeping up with the information, right? How fast is information moving when it comes to any of these technologies? Money talks.
Like I say, if you miss a day in this space, just one day of like following up with news and everything else, it's like missing a month. That's how quickly it's moving. There's things that both Crypto Weekend and I have been speaking about. And we knew it was coming, but the way that it's moving, like some of the things that we spoke about, it's like we speak about it and then within a week, an article comes out saying that it's actually happening. So I think people really need to realize how quickly these technologies are moving. For example, one of the things that we had mentioned was the fact that eventually you're going to be able to access the metaverse on the television. And this year, at one of the tech conferences, which is as CES, they actually released that LGT is working already on getting metaverses in the television. Like we knew this was happening, but we didn't know they was already working on it. So like these are things that people need to start realizing because these technologies are definitely moving at the speed of light. And just think about the cell phone for a minute. Like a lot of people here in the US, we have the privileges of having cell phones being connected to the Wi-Fi, but there's still people in the world that don't know how to use a cell phone, that don't know how to use Wi-Fi. And this is 2023. And the same thing is going to happen with cryptocurrency. Like we are really, really the early adopters of cryptocurrencies, the metaverse, the AI. And I feel that people in the space sometimes don't realize how early we are as far as actually adopting these technologies and being able not only to help create the infrastructure and be part of the creation of how these technologies are going to be used, within the global population, but also making sure that the ones that are in it, we're doing our part in educating others. Because like this year, we had a neighbor come up to us trying to figure out how to find her contacts so she can make a phone call. And we're talking about 2023 here in the US. So it's going to be the same thing with these technologies. You're going to have people that are not going to be involved in the making of it. And this is when I love when Paige brings up making sure that these technologies are for us all and they work for us all. And that's where, sharing this information, making sure that people are educating themselves when it comes to all of this, it plays a big, big part.
Exactly. That's why we're here. We've been here for, we started a couple of months here and with Third Academy, and we've been teaching about this at nauseam because there's an urgency and things are moving quickly. And it's funny that you mentioned the whole thing about the TV, because the other day I was looking at my Samsung TV and there's NFTs in my Samsung TV, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I remember when Money Talks were talking about this, and I can buy the NFT through my TV and then put that NFT as the background. And I'm like, dang, the next thing is the metaverse, right? So it's happening. It's just like, sadly, a lot of people don't know that it's what is happening. I was in a couple of months ago went to El Salvador, and I met people that don't have a phone. Yeah, you heard it. No phone, no Wi-Fi. And we're trying to bring everybody into an ecosystem where there's going to be financial inclusion, but again, not everybody has everything, right, that we call basic needs here in the United States. So it's something else that we should think about, and right.
Absolutely. And I just, it's mind blowing to me because I feel like sometimes you just, we take a lot of these things sometimes for granted and we don't realize that, there's so many people out there that it's going to take a while for them to adopt. And the reality is, when you listen to some of these conferences, it is said, eventually you're going to be using the blockchain and not even know it. And people don't realize that all of these things like the blockchain, the metaverse, even Bitcoin, it's all software, it's all an application. And eventually, the same way you can access Facebook from an iPhone, from a computer, from a phone or an or a tablet or a computer, you're going to be able to do the same with the metaverse. And same thing, a lot of these blockchains, they're going to be incorporated into some of the software that we use. So again, it's all software and it's all trying to, like you said, DJ, trying to tokenize everything so that in the future things are better recorded. At the end of the day, I feel like the core part of this is documentation and having recordings that are going to be there for everyone within the network to be able to verify so that there's more trust. And one of the biggest things that they're doing with tokenization is recording that ownership so that in the future there's no discussion or no question about who's the owner of an actual asset. And I think with that we can start wrapping it up. For the Queen, if you would like to give a summary of some of the topics that we covered, we kind of went a little bit further aside from the mining.
Yes, I mean, again, we discussed the differences between buying cryptocurrency and mining cryptocurrency, some technical issues of mining Bitcoin, the competition between mining pools and smaller versus more powerful machines, the benefits and disadvantages of either or, and where we're moving in the space Yeah, and so it's and how to basically, when do you buy crypto again? If you buy it before the halving or after the halving. This has been a very, very interesting conversation. Thanks to everybody again. And now we wrap our session of Digital Grace with Minds Enlightened. We end this enlightening phase. Thanks to Third Academy for the metaverse space, and you, our dear viewers, for joining us from your place. From Crypto Rican Queen to Money Talks Insights, we journey through the crypto day and nights. Stay tuned and connected. Keep your goals in sight. Until next time, 2 weeks from now, keep your investments safe and tight. You guys take care and have a great, great weekend.